In this video, I want to show you how to play the Noxus Samira reroll comp. So if we look at the core of the comp right here, it's basically Samira, Naafiri, Swain and Cassiopeia. So these are the units you want to try to 3-star. So you reroll at 5 for them or slow roll. And Cassiopeia, you don't have to 3-star her, but it's like you're already rolling for a 1 cost. So if you hit her, it's all good, but if you don't hit her, it's fine, because you're normally not itemizing her. So Samira, you want a blue buff on her, because she has so low mana cost, and she's just gonna spam ulti. Other than that, you just build 2 damage items, or a healing item like Hextech Gunblade instead of one of the damage items. And if we look at Swain, he's basically the tank in the comp, so you need some good items on him. So items like Warmogs is gonna be really bad, because he already gets max HP from his ability, so it's just not gonna scale good with him. What you want instead, it's items that scale with HP instead of giving flat HP. So items like Redemption, it heals 15% of his missing health, and it gives damage reduction, so it scales well with its HP that he gets from his ability. And items like Gargoyle, because it gives armor and magic resist, which is he gets a lot of effective HP together with his, high HP numbers. And other than that, Protector's Vow, it gives a HP scaled shield, which just works well with him having high HP. You get the deal. And other than that, you want to also 3-star Naafiri, because she's also a 3-star, might as well go for it. And why Naafiri is so good in this comp, if we just take a quick look at the traits, she gives Shurima to Cassiopeia, she gives Challenger to Samira, and she gives Darkin. So you get 2 Darkins later. But this is not even like the good part of her. Sure, those traits are nice, and she fits very well into the comp, just trait-wise. But the Darkin bonus is really what makes her really cracked in this comp. So basically what happens when a Darkin dies, a nearby ally gets the weapon. And what is the weapon that Naafiri has? It's basically when the target that got the Darkin buff casts an ability, she will summon her pack mates. Yeah, she basically ultis, right? So every time Swain Swain ultis, Naafiri will shoot her dogs at enemies. And if you 3-star her, you have 2 AD items, perhaps even a Noxus Bat. Ooh, that's gonna be a lot of damage. And just imagine that on Samira. She has a blue buff, a 30 mana. So every time she ultis, she does her own damage as well as the Naafiri ulti if she has Darkin Blade. So pretty broken stuff right there. Yeah, pretty broken stuff. So basically just reroll for these units. Items is very important in this comp, right? So Pandora's Bench is really good with this comp, because you can just get the perfect BIS items. Other than that, I like Noxus Crest, because if you can get the Naafiri to be a Noxus, she's just gonna be super strong, right? You also get another Noxus. It just fits in very good, right? So that is basically the core of the comp. Once you have hit your reroll on level 5, you basically just push levels, you put in as many Noxus as you can. So you throw in Mordekaiser. If you get some more items on him, feel free to itemize him as another secondary carry. Items like, Rapid Fire Cannon, Nashers, and Gunblade is gonna be really good, right? But it's not so picky with him. You can even throw like a Crown Guard on him to make him a bit more tanky, so your front line is stronger. Yeah, you basically just put whatever you hit on him, because you can't be that picky in the late game, unless you have like Pandora's Bench, right? And you also want to put in Aatrox, just because you get 2 Darkin, you get Juggernaut, and it's just a broken unit. So if you get the chance to play Aatrox, be sure to throw him in. And right now we have, 8 units. By some miracle, if you're at, level 9, I highly doubt it, because this comp is very gold hungry. But another random unit you can throw in if you need to play something is like a unit like Jarvan, right? For some more tankiness, you get Strategist. So if we take a look at the augments, some ones that I wanted to highlight are Pandora's Bench. Just this comp is so item focus, right? You need to hit certain items for it to be really good, right? Like blue buff, certain tank items on Swain, etc. So Pandora's Bench is probably the best augment in this comp. I also like Combat Caster, pretty fun, right? Samira has no mana, and there's a lot of low mana units in the comp, so just having them spam their abilities and you get a shield for free on repeat, pretty good stuff, right? Other than that, any augment that helps you get a Noxus spat or emblem on Naafiri is gonna be really good, right? So Noxus Crest will work out. But you don't always get this lucky in the comp, right? So I figured I'll just show you how I played my recent game with this comp. So this is basically the board I ended up with. It's certainly not the, BIS board that you want to play in this comp, right? But I still managed to get a 2nd place. Just figured, yeah, it's good enough to know what comp to play and what's the strongest board of the comp, but you're not always gonna, get the best setup you want. So I figured I'll show you a way I play the comp that's completely different from like the guide or whatever. So I basically used the double carried Cassiopeia and Samira. And I had Pandora's bench here, or Pandora's items. I don't know why I have Pandora's bench here. I meant Pandora's items. Anyway, so I gave them both basically the same items. Blue buff, Giant Slayer, and Infinite Edge on Samira, and UA Gauntlet on Cassiopeia. And I both 3-starred them, so they just did infinite damage. So we didn't have that much more items to put in. I decided to go for a Dragon's Claw on Swain. Works well with him, right? He regens max health, and he ultis and gets more health. You get the deal. And a redemption. He heals based on missing health, so it worked very well with him. He got super tanky. Also 3-starred him, right? And the Mordekaiser, I just threw on Crown Guard on him. Basically, I just needed my Samira and Cassiopeia to stay alive, so they can dish out the damage. So Crown Guard will seal the deal for that. Mordekaiser gets more tanky in the beginning, and then when his shield is out, he gets more AP. So it was a really good item, combination of giving him damage and making myself tankier. I also put Cassiopeia on the same side as, Katarina, because she basically wounds the enemies. And Cassiopeia, she does more damage to units that's already wounded. So a little tip there. So if you play Cassiopeia, you want her on the same side as your Sunfire or as, Katarina, so she does even more damage. And I just try to fit in a random other unit I could 2-star, and on my roll down I hit a Nyla, so decide just to throw that unit in there. But, this comp looks kinda scuffed, but honestly it was really broken. So I figured, yeah, I'll just show you the game, guys. So, I figured I'll highlight the mistakes I did this game so you can learn from them. I did quite some many mistakes here, so I figured yeah, you can just take a look at them so you don't make the same mistakes as I did. So in the beginning, of course, I didn't know what the comp I was playing, you know, it's the first stage and all, so here I hit my 3-star Samira though and a Cassiopeia, so now already I was kind of leaning into this comp, right? Since I already have so many copies of, you know, the units I need to play. But the mistake I did is I basically just held on to too many units, but I'll get into that soon. So here, all pretty decent augments, right? Pharmacist is good. Metabolic is pretty fine, alright. But yeah, silver ticket is just really good because we're gonna need to 3-star like so many units, at least 3 different copies of units. So, you know, just having that augment give me a lot of free reroll is gonna be really good, and it's gonna help me secure those 3 stars. So onto the mistake I did right here is this is a really, you know, gold hungry comp, right? And as you see me right here, I'm just taking 3-star after 3-star for basically no reason. Like, why am I 3-starring a Poppy and you know, Ilawi and a Renekton? It's just it's basically just eating up my econ for no reason. So this was just a really big mistake. If I just sold those you know, units and just played a bit of a weaker board, perhaps I would lose a bit more HP, but I will be a lot richer, because econ in the early game, it's so important, because if you get to 10 gold, you get 1 more gold, which is gonna make it easier for you to reach 20 gold and 30. So losing 1 econ in the early game is basically like losing, I don't know, 10 econ throughout the entire game. So here I'm just keep on, you know, buying these units for no reason, which is very bad. So don't do this mistake. I should have just sold my units here, and I would probably be at like 10, 20 gold at this point, which is it's just gonna make me so much, you know, more econ in the game. Especially when you're playing a reroll comp, it's very important that you hold on to as much gold as possible, because you're gonna need that gold when you're finally going for the roll down. So I should have probably just kept either Irelia or, you know, Renekton, and I would have been fine instead of holding on to all of these different units, right? So that's the first mistake I want to highlight, so you don't make the same mistake as I did. But at least I managed to get, you know, a free win streak here, so it's not all doomed. But if I were like win the entire early game, I would be so broke. But I guess it's not that bad if you know, at least get the win streak gold. But by some miracle, I just get dropped so much gold here anyways, so I didn't get that punished. But here, I'm on to my second mistake. So I didn't play Nafiri. I should totally bought, you know, Nafiri, because she's the reason why this comp is so good. So I should have rerolled for Nafiri. I just totally forgot you play her in this comp. And here we have some pretty good augments, but we're just gonna go for Pandora's items, because it's the best augment in this comp. We're gonna need to get BIS items, and you know, this augment is gonna help us do that. And the other mistake I did is basically the same mistake as I did in the early game. I just started to hold on to too many copies of my, you know, Darius and Katarina. I figured I was gonna 3-star them as well, since I had golden ticket, but it's really unrealistic, because I'm already going for 3-star Swain, I'm going for 3-star Samira and Cassiopeia. They are like 1 and 2 cost units, so if you're re-rolling for 1 and 2 cost, you usually don't hit the 3 stars of 3 cost, because they're higher rarity and you're gonna need to be higher level in order for you to fit them in. So that was a bit greedy, so I shouldn't have, you know, gone for 3-star for them either, because that just cost me a lot of gold, and I just decided to sell them later anyway. So yeah, that was another pretty bad mistake, right? So don't hold on to units for a potential 3-star is usually not worth it. Unless, you know, you are in a really good spot for it. Which I basically wasn't. So I'm actually getting a lot of Samiras right here, which is good, right? I should have been a bit faster here as well. Because if you're one copy away from a 3-star, it's usually worth rolling for it. Because it's just gonna save you so much HP. Like here I'm one Samira away. If I was a bit faster in, you know, fixing my board, all of that, I should have just rolled a bit, you know, to try to hit my unit. Because it would have saved me a lot of HP. So in this spot you should roll down just to try to hit your 3-star. And now I hit it. Boom, there we go. So now I have stabilized a bit, you know, I don't have to roll that aggressive. But we still have to hit our Cassiopeia, right? So you basically, often in this spot, if you're playing the normal comp, you don't have to go for Cassiopeia 3-star. But since I was playing Cassiopeia carry here as well, I need to hit her 3-star because I already put 2 items on her. So I'm gonna have to, you know, stay level 5 until I hit this Cassio 3. And I got kinda unlucky on my roll down, so I was level 5 like for so long in this game, so I got kind of weak because everyone else was leveling up. So it was kind of a problem, you know. But we made it work in the end. And I hit the 3-star, but it cost me a lot of HP, right? So I'm just gonna slam this glove on her. We're gonna build an Infinite Edge on Samira. Here I got, you know, some pretty meh augments. Decide to just reroll them and go for the Combat Caster. Because it's really good, especially since I'm going Cassio carry. I'm going for Samira carry. They ulti so much. And I don't have any healing item on them. So having that Combat Caster give me the shield is just gonna make them stay alive, which is really important. So now I don't have to build like healing items on them that much, because we have that shield at least to make them stay alive. So now I can opt to go for a third damage item instead, which is gonna give me a lot more damage. It's like if you're going for an unit that you know, you need a healing item on them, but you get like Omnivamp augment like Cybernetic Leash, then you can go for 3 damage items instead, and you're just gonna, you know, do more damage, and yeah, you don't have to build a healing item, so that just made them a lot stronger, right? So here I'm starting to hold on to this Darius for no reason. It's cost me a lot of gold. I should have skipped Darius. Like, even if I hit him 3-star, it's not gonna do anything. He's just gonna be a bit more tanky, but it's not that big of a diff. I need the gold to level up and roll, right? So if I just sold this or if I didn't buy these Katarinas and I didn't buy this Darius, I will basically be up 15 gold, which probably would have meant I hit the Cassio 3-star this round. So that was not the best play, right? So onto this carousel. I decided to just take Sion here. I need to be stronger like now. And this Sion is just gonna make me more tanky, which is gonna make my backline stay alive for longer. So even though I had this spat that I couldn't use, it was like the right play to take this Sion just for the unit, right? Often in the carousels you should go for items, but this was like a one case where it actually was better to go for the unit than the item, right? Because I have basically 0 chance of hitting a Sion otherwise, because I'm so low level. At least we got a pretty good loss here. We killed everyone except 1 unit, so that's all good, right? And the boom, I just got bailed out there by that shop, so with the Cassio 3. Very late. It's like stage 5 already and I don't have my unit, but it's all good. So finally I realized, yeah, this Kata and this Doris ain't gonna happen. So I'm just gonna sell them and I'm gonna level up for 7 Noxus, which is honestly the right play here. And this guy, you know, here's a RV3. Let's see if we can beat it. No, we can't. He's just so tanky. Yeah, I'm gonna have to show you guys the the show gap restore comp as well. That's really fun and really broken, honestly. So here, decide to just take this. Ain't gonna waste my gold rolling for other, you know, treasures. So I just took that. We got a very good item on Swain. Is like one of the best items on him, and it was like a full AP lobby. So it was basically the best item I could get. And the other item, it didn't really, or the components didn't really matter because I have Pandora's items, so I'm just gonna re-roll the items. So this guy is playing. See, he already has like Heimer with 3 mods, and he has like a seer and all this stuff. And me, I'm just low level because you know, I held on to all of these random units in the early game. But since I you know, spiked really hard here, I actually won this round. So now we're actually starting to catch up. I got this 2-star moored, so it's going pretty good now, right? So if I want to, I can build like a Shurima spat here to make my Cassiopeia stronger. But it mostly gives like healing and attack speed, which is not gonna help my Cassiopeia because she has a blue buff. So attack speed ain't that important on her. She already casts a lot, so that doesn't really make sense. So I'd rather just go for a third, you know, AP item on her. I could even build a challenger spat for to buff my Samira last round, but I mean, same story there. She has so low mana, the attack speed ain't gonna help that much, right? So instead I just hold on to the component so I could build a UL Gauntlet, which is infinitely more strong than any of those traits could be, right? So that was probably a UL Gauntlet dip right there. So here we have some different options to go for. I decided to just go for the Crown Guard. Because, yeah, it's a good item on Mord, and it's especially good in this scenario. Usually, it's not the best item on Mord, right? But in this case, I feel like it's the best item because I just need a lot of front line, and that item, it gets me more tanky, and it's a good item Mord. It gives him AP, right? So in this case, it was basically BIS on Mord, but in normal cases, a BIS on Mord is like, you know, or RFC and those shenanigans, right? But it all depends on your spot, right? Because in this spot, item that is normally pretty meh is actually like S tier, in my opinion. So BIS can be fake sometimes, you know? I feel like RFC is not as valuable on Mord here because I already have like 2 ranged units that's carrying, so having a rapid fire cannon Mord is just not as good as having, you know, a tank AP item, if that makes sense. So onto this dragon round, we're just basically hoping for a third tank item on Swain. That would probably be the best. So let's see what I get from this anvil right here. I have nothing to roll for, so I'm just gonna level up here. We have 4 HP, so yeah, we're just gonna hope with something. And that was not it. We probably wanted like a Jorvan, but you know, we didn't hit, so we're just gonna have to settle for Nyla. A random 4 cost 2-star ain't that bad, right? Didn't get any tank item, unfortunately. So I just decided to take my last item here on Samira. And it was a Giant Slayer, which is very big. Because we're playing against this Brawler Shogat guy. So having that max HP damage on both Samira and Cassiopeia is probably what made me win this fight. So yeah, we got pretty lucky there with that treasure round. And boom, since we won the round, we didn't have to lock the shop. We got the gold for the Nyla. And I decided to just throw her on the other side to, you know, fill up my units a bit. And to dodge like Jarvan ults and all of that. So I didn't really care about Vanquisher traits, basically useless in this case. But Nyla, at least she jumps around, she stalls the enemies, she gets a lot of shield, so I basically viewed her as like a staller, like a tank almost. So it worked kinda well, right? Probably, or actually, Sejuani would be better to just buff all my units' health, It's just gonna make me tankier, but I only had a Sejuani 1-star, so if I hit her 2-star, we're gonna put her in instead of Nyla, but as long as it's 1-star, we're just gonna have to play this Nyla. So, I mean, this Cassiopeia is kind of popping up, you know? Maybe this is actually a real comp. But honestly, the variant where you play Naafiri is a bit better than this, right? But, you know, if you get the chance to play it, it's really fun. It's not bad by all means. So now I decided to just take this Shurima spat. Honestly, I just took it for Swain more than anything. Because it gives him a bit more tankiness, some healing and all of that. So we're just gonna put that spat on him to make us a bit more tanky. But this guy honestly is really strong. His, yeah, the gunner comp is like the best comp in this patch. So I don't know if we're gonna be able to survive this. But anyhow, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe for more TFT content. And at least my, you know, clone beat this guy. So yeah, it's a 2 place here. Peace out, everybody. Ciao.